Hi Taurus, welcome to your January 2020 Taurology 33 bonus love reading. Thank you to those of you who've liked, viewed, shared, subscribed, and donated to the channel. I appreciate all of that. And for those of you interested in booking a personal reading with me, if you're watching this when I first posted, I'm actually not offering personal readings at this time, but when we actually physically do get into the month of January, I'll definitely open those back up again, so just check out the description of the email if you're interested in that. As far as what we have in front of us, this is what I call the bridging the gap spread, and the way it works is the cards on the left side represent your energy toward the connection with your main love interest, and the cards on the right side represent their energy toward the connection. And these are the past energies, present energies, and future energies. Then once we get through those, we'll actually pull some oracle cards to, get a little further insight into the connection, and that's where the bridging the gap dynamic comes into play. And as far as the decks being used, on the left side we have the Lover's Path Tarot, and on the right side we have the Tarot of Sexual Magic. Alright, so with all that out of the way, first thing I have to say that stood out to me is you guys have all major arcana cards, so this is going to be a pretty significant month for you, and possibly this could just be pointing to the significance of the connection as well, and what it means for you in your life in general. But yeah, all three of these major arcana, then you also have one at the bottom of the deck, so pretty impressive. Now, past energy on your side, we have Grace. So this is actually the equivalent of the Star card in the traditional tarot, and that's actually a card that represents Aquarius energy. Now, Aquarius is your 10th house of career, so for some of you, this could actually just be saying that maybe this was someone you met in the workplace, or possibly even there might have been some separation involved because of career pursuits. And then in a more mundane way, this could just be pointing to the fact that maybe it's been some of the transits going through Aquarius that have been impacting the connection. So, for example, at the time I'm recording this, Venus, which is your ruler, is actually moving through Aquarius, and it's squaring Uranus, which is the natural ruler of Aquarius, and Uranus is in your sign. So that could be pretty tense aspect there. So it could be as simple as you might have had an argument with someone, or maybe even just wanted to, maybe in the past you decided you wanted to explore your independence. Having Uranus move through your sign might have given you a bit more of an urge to do so than usual. So that could have been what's at play there. But another thing that stands out to me with this card is I think about the Star card coming after the Tower card. And I always say the Star card to me represents the dissolution of ego. So that could be what this is pointing to as well. Maybe this is saying that, you might have, in a negative way had your ego impact the connection in the past, and now you're actually learning from that experience. Like the way I explain this is sometimes I say, maybe you might have gotten a fire lit under you, right? So maybe you're actually starting to see the situation more clearly and might be preparing to take action. Past energy on their side, they have the Nine of Pentacles. So this is actually a Virgo energy, so some of you could have been dealing with a Virgo. But what stands out to me with this card is this is often referred to as the card of being single as well. And given that Virgo is your 5th house, this could just represent that in the past you might have actually cut ties with this person, or possibly them with you. Now, like I said, given what you have going on with Uranus in your sign, I feel like if anyone did cut ties in a connection, I feel like it was more likely that you were the one that cut ties. But I will say, the person might have felt like you took a part of them when you left, because the reason I say that is with those scissors there, we see the person's like cutting a lock of her hair, so that could be what's at play there. And I do have to say again, either you could be dealing with another earth sign, or this could represent your energy as well, given that she is holding a pentacle. So it really could go either way. But that's what I'm seeing there. And what stands out to me too that's interesting is we see fire in the background there. And then we also see, like I was saying here, we see fire as well. So this could have definitely been a very passionate connection that the two of you had as well. In the present position, we have the Judgment card. So this stands out for me in a few different ways too. For one, I always say to people that to me, Judgment is actually a Scorpio card, because Scorpio and 8th house matters are often referred to as death and rebirth. So obviously Scorpio is the natural major arcana card. For them, that's the death card. And then I just view this as the rebirth side of that energy, especially if you look at the traditional tarot and the way the artwork looks in that one. And given that that's your opposite sign, to me, this definitely represents that you might be reconsidering this connection now. So, again, maybe in the past, you might have left the connection, right, to explore your independence. And the Uranus transit does do that. And depending on how you view it, it can be a positive and a negative. So, put it this way, even if you left the connection and now you're having second thoughts and you realize, wow, that was a big mistake. The thing about Uranus is it'll nudge you to fulfill that urge that you have, right? So, it might egg you on to make that kind of move. So if nothing else, at least now you know, okay, that wasn't the right thing, right? As opposed to if you just let that thought linger in your mind over and over, that could do more damage than actually just doing the thing, right? So that could have been how it played out for some of you. And this, for some of you, this could even just be saying that maybe during the time of Scorpio, that was when you guys might have broken up. Uh, Especially because that new moon in Scorpio in particular was opposite Uranus in your sign, so that definitely could have caused relationship issues there. And then after that, more recently we had Mars make that same exact aspect. I think that was a little bit closer to Thanksgiving time for those of you who live in the States, so towards the end of November, let's say. So could have been some significance around that time for you guys, or maybe that was when the breakup took place. But yeah, either way, this is looking at a situation again, and maybe even one that you didn't think had the potential to come back around, but maybe for whatever reason it is. And I will say, you guys are going to have that lunar eclipse in your third house of communication. So maybe that's actually going to was maybe that's going to be what brings this up, right? For closure or to get it back together. So could play out either way there. Present energy on their side, we have the Three of Swords. So this is a Libra energy. And keep in mind, if you are dealing with the Virgo, they could definitely have Libra placements as well, like maybe their Mercury or their Venus, and vice versa. If it's a Libra, maybe they have some placements in Virgo as well. That's pretty common. So that could just be, again, pointing to the person that you were dealing with. But with the Three of Swords, we always think about heartbreak. And I will say for some of you, it could have been that they might have felt that they saw something. Like if we think about this person in the background representing their energy, and then this might have been you and someone else. And it might have even just been, misconstrued. Maybe you didn't actually do anything, but maybe they were suspicious that you were doing something. And again, maybe there were some tense arguments with those astrological aspects I pointed out that might have, caused some issues between the two of you. But if anything, I feel like they might not have spoken up about what they either thought they saw or maybe even didn't speak up fully about their feelings toward you, so that could have caused some issues as well. So I don't think, it's just a one sided thing. But either way, to me, this does represent that they might still be heartbroken over the fact that you guys did break up. So that's why I see there more than anything. And that's why I'm getting the feeling as well that between the two of you, it might be you that's more prone to actually take action, and it might be again because you might have been the one that technically did leave, so that might be the primary reason why. But yeah, in the future position on your side, we have the awakening card. So this is the equivalent of the sun, so pretty positive energy there. You even see the name Cupid on the card, so this can definitely just represent, if we think about the sun energy and the traditional major arcana, it's that kid on the horse, right? It looks like very playful, vibrant, happy energy. So that's one way that we could look at it, right? Which is to say that, whatever ends up happening here in the present, where you might reach out to the person, it looks like in the future, you're definitely going to be a lot happier. So again, even if it was just something you did for closure, that's one way it could play out. Or I do have to point out the fact that in this deck it is called Awakening, and I do see these pretty significant major arcana cards, like I said, all on your side too. So maybe this was just more of a learning thing for you guys, where this was a situation you had to go through to actually learn and grow from the situation, whether you do end up getting back with this person or not. I'm trying to think if anything else comes to play with this. Well, and I will say, given that it is the sun card, we are going to have the sun in your ninth house. And, at the time of recording this, we're basically just a few days away now from the new moon eclipse in Capricorn, which is a fellow earth sign. And then that's actually going to be trine Uranus in your sign. So there's definitely going to be some significance there too. But This isn't a future position, so I don't necessarily think it's going to be too heavily pointing to that, but I did want to at least mention it. All right, and then the future energy on their side is the Four of Swords. So, yet again, more Libra energy here. But on the more positive side, too, this does represent some healing. So, again, as we can see, these are just minor cards compared to your major arcana cards on your side. So, in a way, while I do feel like they definitely had genuine feelings for you, to me, this is saying that whatever the situation is and how it plays out is going to be more meaningful and was intended more to impact your life, even though it looks like they were, quote unquote, the ones who might have suffered more in it. But I do feel like this is more something that needed to happen for your growth in the situation. But yeah, this does represent that they're healing. So let's say even if you come back to them in the present, right, and maybe they still seem a little bit wounded and maybe, they might even not know how to react to you coming back around. So that could be one way it plays out. And maybe they seem a bit unsure, but this could just be saying that with time they will actually be healing. And maybe that, was the healing that they needed by reaching back out to them. And looking at these two cards together, definitely contrasting energy. It looks like you're a lot happier, right? If we think about they're still healing. But no matter how you want to look at that, if you want to say that it's because you reach out that helps them heal, or you want to look at it as more of a combination where, you know, they get the time to heal from you reaching out here initially, and then as a result, they come back around, right, with that Four of Swords energy, and then that ends up obviously making you happy as well. So overall, I do see this as a pretty good spread. Like I said, it definitely seems pretty significant for you on your side. But one thing that stood out to me also that's pretty cool is on the bottom of the deck on your side, we have balance. So this is the equivalent of the Temperance card, which is actually a card of Sagittarius. And I will say Mars is going to be moving into the sign of Sagittarius pretty early on in January, so there could be some significance with that. And that is eighth house, which is the house of transformation. So combine that with the Judgment card, right? That could just be pointing to what brings it into play for some of you. And then also, bottom of the deck on their side, exact same card. They also have Temperance. So that's pretty cool. I mean, it's called Balance in this deck, but it's the same thing, number 14 in the Major Arcana. So, I mean, if we want to look at the artwork and combine the two, this could even just be as simple as saying that, maybe the two of you decide to meet up for drinks, right? Given that we see her pouring something there. Maybe you guys meet up for drinks, connect and talk about old times, right? And then get things back in balance. So, could just be as simple as that. And I do have to point out that for you guys, Sagittarius is your eighth house, which also points to sex. So maybe there's going to be a lot of makeup sex going on there. I don't know. Sounds pretty fun if it is, but yeah. That's what I'm seeing there. All right, so now let's move on to the Oracle card, see what we get. So first, I'll see if we can get some messages from this deck here, the Mystic Moon Oracle. And for those of you who haven't seen the spread from me before, what I do is I pre-shuffle these decks before I start recording. And now I'm just going to be looking for some jumpers here. So first, I'll be looking for any unspoken messages from you to them, and then from them to you. And if I shuffle for a while and nothing comes up, since it's just a general spread, I don't really, keep going. I'll just keep it as take it as a time to keep moving. But see if we get anything. Like I said, first I'm looking for an unspoken message from you to them. Oh, got three, but they fell. I'll pick them up in a second. So now let's see if we get any unspoken messages from them to you. All right, nothing coming up yet, but I'll shuffle a little bit longer. Alright, yeah, nothing come up there, but let me pick up the ones that were from you to them. Give me a second. Might be a record, I don't know. Yeah, let's see what we have. Alright. First we have, I'm in a much better headspace now. So yeah, I can see that as far as what we were saying. Like I was saying, for some of you, this might have been a situation where you might have been going through some serious growth. Like I said, some of you might have even had a tower moment, because this is the card that comes after the tower moment. Don't freak out though if you did. That was most likely in the past, given that I don't see any negative cards here. I can still feel you. So, yeah, maybe there was definitely some significance to the connection. Like I said, at the very least, the fact that there was fire on both sides here kind of stood out to me, even though neither of those are fire cards. Alright, but this one's a little more interesting. It's easier to just stay away right now, so that's probably the only one that seems a little off. I will say maybe this is more how you felt in the past, certainly, right? Like, I can see that, but it does look like for at least a good chunk of you, you might be the ones who are actually going to move forward toward them. But hopefully you got something from those cards. Alright, and then last thing we'll do is pull a card from the Wisdom of the Oracle deck here. Same situation, I did pre-shuffle this one. And then we're just looking for one card here, and then we'll wrap up. Oh, here we go. Alright, let me put this here. This is really random. Alright, so the card you got is not for you. So this is definitely interesting. Alright, let's see. Well, let's just see what the book says before I say anything else. Okay, it says a clear knowing that something is being denied you. Rejection is God's protection. The Oracle's message: there are times when it appears that no matter how deeply you desire something, no matter how hard you work at something, the result you seek always seems to elude you. It's as if you don't really get to be in the game, and you feel you're just watching from the sidelines. The appearance of this card indicates that you are not going to attain what you want right now, that, indeed, your dreams for that exact thing will not be fulfilled. This is a time to radically accept that not everything is available to you when you want it. Take heart, for there are benevolent forces who desire the best for you and have a much clearer idea of what is for your highest good. Rejection is God's protection. Something much better that will make you truly happy is on its way. Trust this. So, definitely an interesting message there. Like, I don't see that. That wasn't really the vibe I was picking up on at all. Let me put it that way when we were going through the main spread. But I can say that for some of you, I might have briefly touched on it in a way, but I didn't really see it as that significant initially. But having this card come up, I do have to mention it because maybe this is going to be the case for some of you. The way that message came up and the way I was saying that these are all major arcana cards here, and we don't really see any on this side, which shows that this is a pretty significant thing going on for you. This can even say that for some of you, I did mention the word closure before, so it can't even just be saying that this is just something that you're supposed to do on your path to actually, balance the scales, if you will, since we have the balance at the bottom of the deck on both sides. And then in the process, even if they stay in that energy, right, where they're like, no, I'm not ready to move past this, right, with that Three of Swords, it can just be saying that just going through that process, that was something you needed to do for your soul growth, and then that could be why we see the awakening in the future, right? So at the very least, that even if it's something that doesn't turn out the way you want it to right away, it could just be saying that there is a lesson there nonetheless. And I mean, for some of you, it doesn't even have to be that serious either. It could just be as simple as the fact that, like I said, you might come back to them. They might still be in that Three of Swords energy, like, yeah, I'm not really ready to, move forward with you. I'm still kind of hurt over this. But this could just be saying that, down the line, they will get into that healing energy too with the Four of Swords. And then, that could be why we see the temperance on their side too, which is to say that, it might just be as simple as it might not happen as quickly as you want it to, right? You might be like, oh, I'm going to come back and we're going to get back together. Everything's going to be great, right? So it might be you come back to them, but there might still be more work to come, meaning that it might take a while for them to warm up to the idea, and then you might get some forward progress. Hopefully that made sense for you guys, but yeah. The relationship message says some relationships carry an innate seed of failure in them that is obvious from the beginning, but the red flags escape your observation or you refuse to acknowledge them. When a relationship is not meant to be, it is not possible to make it be. Rejection is a sign that you're being protected by the divine. If you are the one who must reject another, remember that you do so for both your sakes. For every pot, there is a lid. This one may not be the best fit. So, another interesting message there, and I would say, and that does remind me of one point as well, which is say that since this is a general reading, if you feel like these cards on this side felt more like your energy and this sounded more like the other person's energy, definitely ride with that too. But to me, that sounds more like maybe I could see that energy fitting with this side, as far as, either if you reject them, or we could see, either way, we could see a rejection vibe with that Three of Swords. So, could just be pointing to that. And I do have to say, for some of you, this could be one of those situations where the main spread might have resonated with you and been exactly what you're thinking, and then others of you like, that doesn't sound like my situation at all, and then maybe that's, maybe this card was meant to cover that. But yeah, overall, I don't know. I'm not too sure I see this card as a big fit with the main spread, but hopefully you guys got something from that either way. We'll wrap up there, and I'll see you all next month. All right, bye.